Hi, my name is Caroline Dotson, and this is my presentation on the Roman Republic, which is a government that provided a foundation for future democracies such as that of the United States. My thesis statement is that if it hadn't been for the existence of the constitutional system of the Roman Republic, the government of the United States would look completely different. And this form of government established by Rome was something that hadn't really been done before and provided an important basis for government representation, and aspects of it have been imitated for centuries. So, looking at the major elements of government, these were the consuls and other magistracy positions, the assemblies, specifically the Centuriate Assembly, the Senate, and the tribunes of the plebes. So, first, we're looking at the Senate, and unlike today, they could not technically pass laws and were only able to advise. However, they were still considered a very powerful element of government since their advice was taken so seriously. And unlike today, senators were appointed by the consuls for life unless they were removed. They didn't serve terms, and there was a set number of 300. So, as for their duties, there were meetings where each member of the Senate had to speak, and another duty they could do, take part in during these meetings, was killing a proposal by filibustering. And a quorum of 200 senators could be called by a magistrate for a vote between a proposal and its negative. So the Centuriate Assembly were the most important assembly within the Republic, and it divided men into units called centuries based on their class, and each only received one vote. And they were in charge of lawmaking, and they would assemble to officially vote on bills without any ratification from the Senate. And they were also in charge of electing magistrates and other political offices as well. And the consuls, which was known as the most powerful magistracy position, there were two that were elected annually, but these terms were frequently extended. And the duties were primarily military related, and these powers of the consuls were shared. So they possessed imperium, the right to command. They had to preside over Senate meetings. They were able to appoint a dictator during times of crises or war. They could use veto on their fellow consul. They could summon any of the assemblies, and were also able to arrest citizens within the city. So the tribunes of the plebes, this was only embodied into law after the struggle of the orders, and this development was a vital protection for Roman citizens against abuse of state powers. And there were 10 total tribunes that were elected for one-year terms, and they were elected by the assembly. And they were also had the veto ability and could veto any official legislation if it was not in the best interest of the plebes. They were also able to protect them from arrest by magistrates. Some other important government positions: the praetors, which were chief executive officers like consuls, and the quaestors, who were in charge of justice, the council of the plebes, who helped to give plebeians considerable political power, and the aediles, who were in charge of public games and monitoring the wheat supply. So why the Roman Republic was important for America? It was a really big deal for democracy because it was the first experiment on a wide scale. It was the earliest example of the checks and balances system that is still used in our government today, and was one of the first examples of citizen involvement in election and government. Another thing, the Centuriate Assembly provided some inspiration for the electoral college we use today, in the sense that each century received one vote, and the majority determined how everyone else voted. And our Senate today was loosely inspired by the Roman Senate. Obviously not exactly the same, since our Senate today is in charge of lawmaking, whereas the Roman Senate was not. And the Roman Senate was the first legislative body to use the filibuster to stop bills, which is a feature that we're still using in the United States today. And all elements of government were limited in some way to prevent one element from having too much power, going back to that checks and balances. And another thing, the 12 Tables, which was a written down legal code that helped to protect the rights of citizens, and was also a very important influence on the Bill of Rights, which also protects our rights as United States citizens. So that is my presentation, and here's my bibliography. Hope you guys enjoyed.